Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. It is an honor to be here for the first time as the Secretary of State of the United States. There's been no stronger ally for Israel in the White House than President Trump. To the people of this great country, for whom we have tremendous love and respect, a nation stood from its very inception, from the very day of its birth, against threats from every angle and every corner, and has served as an example to the world. If there were more Israels in the Middle East, more countries like that, the world would be a safer and a better place. And this is what we hope for the region and for our planet.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. That's Marco Rubio visiting Israel. It has been 500 days since the hostages have been taken. Since the 8th of October, I've been wearing a Star of David with a cross in it in solidarity with the families of the hostages. I had someone ask me why I supported it. And I said, and this is a little cheeky, actually, but I said, I've read the book. I know how it ends. And so I know the right side of this issue. And, I kind of feel like we're all Jewish now, that this is so wrong for such a small group of people to be treated the way they're treated. And there's an expectation put on them as far as what they're supposed to put up with that no other country in the world has to deal with. They are a democracy. If more countries were like them in the Middle East, it would be better. I feel so sorry, though, for the people that call themselves the Palestinian people, okay? Because, they don't know their history. They talk only about killing Jews. I mean, it really is very dark and sad when you see women who are cheering the fact that their sons killed Jews, and you don't see IDF soldiers' families cheering that they had to kill people in a war in Gaza. Okay, you don't see that. You don't see American soldiers' families cheering that they killed people in wars we fought in. We're always sad about that. In normal, polite society, you're sad about that. You're not cheering in the streets. You're not. There's a video out there right now of a CBS reporter. I've given CBS a really hard time today, but this is a reporter in Israel. He is in a refugee camp of Palestinians that are in a refugee camp. It's outside of the West Bank. And little children, these are children that look like they're 6, 7, 8 years old. They are running up to him saying, "I will kill you. You are an infidel. I will murder you." They look like they're slashing your throat. "I will cut your throat." This is 5, 6, 7-year-old children that this is what they think is appropriate things to say to people that are new to their community. And granted, you can justify it all you want. You can say, "Oh, well, they've had such a hard life and that's why they act this way." That could be true. But I think it's more likely their parents have taught them that. Their schools have taught them that. And to say there's any comparison between what's going on in Gaza and the West Bank and what's going on in Israel is just not fair. I tell this story about the company SodaStream. And SodaStream is a company that was in the West Bank. It was done by an Israeli, but he wanted to have good jobs for Palestinians. He was a very liberal Israeli. He wanted a two-state solution, all of that kind of stuff. So he built this factory in the West Bank that had good-paying jobs of Israelis and Palestinians and any other kind of Arab you can imagine working side by side, secular Jews, Israelis, whatever you want, because Israel's got 2 million Arabs in Israel, okay? So there's all kinds of people working together in great jobs, and they're getting along, and they're learning. This is the way you change culture, okay? Is piece by piece. And the authority that's running the West Bank said, "We don't want you here anymore because people are getting along too well." I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what they said. So the guy closed the business, moved it out. But how was that for the Palestinians that were working there, that their jobs went away? They had good jobs. They were supporting their families. Prior to the Second Intifada in 1999, there were good jobs that Palestinians were holding throughout Israel and their families were getting better. Their economics were getting better. And Arafat could not stand that. Because if things get better for the Palestinians and they don't hate Israel and hate Jews, then the people that are in power and that are taking your money aren't going to get that money anymore. So I feel sorry for the Palestinians because they have been pawns in many ways, but not by the Israelis. They were pawns by the Jordanians, pawns by the Egyptians, pawns by the Lebanese, because there were lots of opportunities. I mean, when Israel first began in the new form, in the modern era, in 1947, the Arabs would not sign the two-state solution that the UN put forward. And you can argue whether what the UN did was right or not. Okay, but they did not cooperate, and they immediately, with these Arab armies, invaded Israel. And Israel beat them. What usually happens when someone loses a war? They lose their territory. Okay? That's not what happened. That's not what people expected of Israel. They expected them to continue to give. You had the war in 1967. You had lots of other things. And again, there's some great books out there. Noa Tishby's book is fantastic. You should read it if you can because it's easy to read. It's easy to understand. But bottom line is the hostages need to come home. The deadline passed at noon, and I guarantee you things are happening over there that we're not hearing about that are going to get these hostages home. There are resources that are being used that the American government was holding back, and they are being used, and I can guarantee you that. So we're looking forward to that happening, to get them back, and get the bodies back of those that are dead so people can have some closure. And let's account for the Bibas family. You know, this was an unprovoked attack on October 7th. On October 6th, 20,000 Palestinians from the southern part of Gaza were going to work in Israel. They were passing back and forth. No, it wasn't perfect because they've continued to say all they want to do is destroy the Jews. How can you allow people whose main goal is to destroy the Jews? Hey, what about the people that want to come in here and they want to protest on campuses and say their goal is to destroy America? Those folks should not be allowed in your country. And it's their own fault if they cannot identify themselves with the social norms of the day. Okay? People need to get along more. And this is why you need less social media, you need less of this stuff, and you need more face-to-face interaction with people. I always say, vote, parent your children, and have a face-to-face conversation with somebody that you haven't talked to before. That's how we're going to change the direction of this world. That's how we're going to get things better. And I'm encouraged because I know how the book ends. I know Jesus is coming back. I know that things are going to be in the most beautiful way in the world when that happens. Okay? And the truth will be told at that point in time. The noise in the world right now, to me, is evil. Okay? And you can disagree with me, and I'd love for you to. Okay? But the noise in the world today, to me, is evil. And that's what we have to fight against. We got a couple of text messages in, or a text message in said, it is unfortunate that the Palestinian people have been taught by their leaders to only hate instead of the fact that life's purpose is best realized in the service of others. It's so true. You know, I'll tell you this one story, then I'll let you go. There's a lady that I was in Disciple with in the early 90s when I was still a stay-at-home mom. And it was a 3-hour class once a week, and we studied the Bible, and her name was Angela O'Kelly, and she and Jean Beckstein are the two people that I've met in my lifetime that were as close to Jesus Christ as anybody that I could imagine. I obviously haven't met Jesus, although I did think I used to take walks with him when I was 4 years old. Okay, I don't know if that was true or not, but that's what I have in my mind's eye. But they were as close to Jesus Christ as anybody I've ever met. And Angela, Miss O'Kelly, and her husband, Mr. Freddie, were the kindest, best people and saw the good in everyone. Saw the good in everyone. And we need to be more like that, not less like that. And I think it will help. We'll be back.